Okay, everybody, a shout out to my favorite product ever. It's called Lucinergy from New BioAge. Why I like it is because it has resveratrol in it, B6, and something called leucine, a low enough dose to mimic exercise. I take 2 in the morning, I take 2 in the afternoon, and it hits all those longevity pathways. It helps push your natural NAD+. And I know you've all heard about this, so stop taking NAD directly. You want to incentivize your NAD so it goes down the right pathway so you can live long, healthy, and strong. Thanks, New BioAge. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Beauty Outlaw. I'm excited today to actually bring a friend on who is an acupuncturist. She's a licensed acupuncturist here in Orange County, California. She's got years of experience, and she's one of the smartest people I know. So I'm excited that she trusted me enough to come on the show and be put on the spot. So hi, Kaisa.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited to share any knowledge I might have with everybody.
Good. Because I love your world, and you've actually helped my son through mono experiences, and he actually has Epstein-Barr. So she's done some amazing things also for my patients here. And but first, before we get into all the questions I have, I want you to tell me and the audience your story. How did you start in the world of acupuncture? And how did that evolve? I know a little bit, but tell everyone else.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Started back in college years. I went to UCLA. I was a pre-med. I was doing what, a lot of people interested in healthcare do. You just start school and off you go. And I had a personal health crisis that led me to an acupuncturist there in Santa Monica. And he was able to help me tremendously. I was able to avoid pharmaceutical medicines at the time, any procedures, and I became fascinated with his approach to medicine. So that led me down a rabbit hole of doing a lot of research, studying with many different types of doctors, physicians, physical therapists, you name it, until I found my way and I chose to study traditional Chinese medicine.
And you graduated, and then how does that work to be an acupuncturist?
Sure. So it does require a 4-year undergraduate degree. Okay. It can be in anything as long as you fulfill your prerequisites for Chinese medical school, which mimic very closely to med school. Okay. So you're going to need, physics and chemistry and anatomy and so forth. Then you go on to a doctoral program for another 4 years, and then you graduate and you hit the pavement running.
Where is the best school in this area, would you say, in America? I mean,
it fluctuates. It's very political sometimes, and who's running the school. Back in my ancient years, it was in Santa Monica at the time, was the #1 school. Now I think probably top would be San Diego, and they have sister schools in Chicago and possibly in New York. So it's just, if you're interested in school, you need to do your research and see what they're offering and the different types of externships and internships they're offering.
Right, right. And so it looks, after you graduate with your bachelor's and you have your prerequisites, it's 4-year doctoral.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I did not know that. I know also a lot of acupuncturists, licensed acupuncturists, transition into naturopathic.
Yeah, they do.
Is there a combo thing to do that, or do you have to layer that later?
Some schools, for example, Bastyr University, does offer the combo. So if that's something interesting for someone that is relatively new, I want to say maybe that's like in the last 7 years or so, they've been offering the combo. Yeah.
So it's been over 25 years.
Yes.
That you've been practicing.
Yes.
How long have you been practicing independently here in Orange County with your own practice?
Oh, I've been practicing about 20 years with my own practice. I've worked for larger institutions, not in the acupuncture realm, but I've worked for UCLA clinics. I've worked for Kaiser Permanente, but there I was in charge of writing curriculum and administering classes for education based on nutrition. So that was part of my background before studying Chinese medicine. So I've integrated what I call functional nutrition with traditional Chinese medicine, which includes acupuncture, it includes herbology, it includes other different physical mechanisms such as cupping and tuina and things of that nature. So,
if you're open to it, I would love you to share your story, your personal story, if you're okay with that.
Of course.
With your family.
Oh, sure.
And your daughter.
Yes. So I would say above all my education, my greatest teachers that I have is my daughter. She's my second child. She's currently 19. She has cerebral palsy, so she is wheelchair bound and she doesn't talk, or I should say she doesn't communicate in English, but she has her own form of communication with me through blinking and cooing. And she has a slew of health challenges just because she was born extremely premature. She has something called chronic lung disease. She's had seizures when she was younger. So she has a different host of health issues that have pushed me to look for things for her to improve her quality of life. And, you know, the beauty of it is that translates over to my patient population. They also reap those benefits. So I credit her greatly for everything that I offer to patients really stems a lot from her.
Yeah, that's why you're so also empathetic, I think, with your patients and in life, because that is no joke how you have to protect her,
Yes.
your daughter, from sicknesses.
Yes, exactly.
And how that looked during COVID.
Oh,
she
yes.
lives in your home.
Yes,
And you have some help.
Yes.
So you can work.
She has some caregivers. I was able to continue working. I don't think I missed a day during COVID years from work, thankfully. But yeah, you know, I really appreciate all types of medicine. I appreciate science. I appreciate data, but I do appreciate that intuitiveness that comes together when I'm working with patients. And I know that it greatly came from her teaching me what to do. And sometimes what someone might guide you won't work for her. So I had to think outside the box. Yeah.
Well, you also don't want to leave your son out either.
Yes. She has a big brother.
She has a big brother who I adore, Alex, and he just graduated himself.
Yes, he did.
And he's moving on into the world. He's going to get his master's. So
yeah, he decided to continue on.
Got a lot of joy in your life.
I do.
As well.
I'm a very blessed person. Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so now we've learned a lot about what makes you tick and why you're so successful. I think worldly experiences actually make us better, like you said,
Absolutely.
in what we practice.
Yes.
What is some of the things that you see in your practice here locally in Orange County? What are the things that are drawn to you, the type of patients that are drawn to you, and what do you think your expertise is?
Wow, that has definitely shifted over the years. Currently, I see a lot of autoimmune cases, and that has increased. And I currently do see a lot of cancer patients. I have a decent pediatric population, probably thanks to my daughter and treating them, just trying to get them healthy from a young age, coordinating with their regular healthcare providers, pediatricians. A lot of parents are more open to using herbs and different vitamins and things like that to keep them healthier. So maybe we can use a little less pharmaceuticals along the way. Another growing part of my practice, and I would say this really increased during COVID, is an emotional stress and anxiety component. That I've never seen the plethora of young people, adolescents, high school, down to elementary school, having panic attacks, stress and anxiety that I did not see often when I first started my practice 20-some years ago. So that has definitely increased. And the beauty of that is that acupuncture, many people know it in this country for pain relief. Some people know it for fertility and so forth. I think those are the top things that might come up on a Google search. But acupuncture is actually a whole system medicine that's involves treating not just the physical body, but it's going to treat the emotional body, the mental body, and for those who choose a spiritual side as well. That's what we were taught in school. So to truly help someone, you want to be working on all those facets of their body. I think body's not the correct word. We always think of it in a physicality way, but this broad layered piece of us that encompasses who we are. So with great research coming out in the last 5 to 7 years on fascia, and this is this thin layer that covers our muscles, they have figured out that 90% of our lymphatics run through the fascia, and that anytime the fascia is cut for any reason, whether it's surgically or accidentally, we disrupt this electrical current. And they've figured out that a lot of emotions are stored in the fascia. It doesn't mean it begins in the fascia. That's our mind and our perception, but they do get stored in the body. And that's one of my greatest tricks, I feel, lately with patients is working on emotional level with them, releasing different things in the body through these fascial endpoint points that are acupuncture points, and they have great physical relief when this part of their psyche is addressed.
So with that, how does acupuncture work? What are you trying to accomplish?
Sure.
With, I know about meridians,
Correct.
right? You're trying to realign that?
Yeah,
Explain it to us.
that's a really good question, and it's been a mystery. It's been very mystical for thousands of years. There's some data going back; it's 5,000 years old. But thanks to technology and improvements in imaging, what they understand is these meridians are very thin lines. Think of it like your nerve pathways, but even thinner.
Kind of like a dermatome?
Like a dermatome pattern. But it's invisible to the naked eye. So if we did an autopsy on you, we're not going to see your meridians, but we know there is an electrical signaling
Makes sense.
running up and down these pathways. So you can think of them, if you want to get from Southern California to Northern California, what's the best way to get up to Northern California? You need to check your navigation. Are there accidents, roadblocks? That's an acupuncturist's job to figure out if you're having a migraine. There's many ways to help you with your migraine. It doesn't mean I'm going to take the 405. Sometimes I might take the 5 to help you with your migraine. And that's the practitioner's job and art to figure out.
Right?
That's an expertise because it's going to be unlocking and creating balance in the meridians. But also sometimes we might use herbs and different things as well. So you're going home with a constant type of treatment. That would be closer to Western medicine. You take a pharmaceutical and you have this chemical input every day, where acupuncture is your electrical input. And thanks to the works of Dr. Jerry Tennant, who's a medical doctor who unfortunately became very ill himself, and one of his ways he found recovery was through studying the acupuncture system. And what he figured out is each cell, well, he didn't figure it out, but through his research, he showed that each cell has a measurable hertz, okay? So as we are getting older, the hertz, the numeric value, is going down. So if I'm 5 years old, the numeric hertz of, let's say, my skin cell might be at 100. It regenerates quickly. If I'm burned, I'll probably be healed in less than a week. If I'm 50 years old, my numeric hertz might only be 25. It might only be 30, depending on my lifestyle, my genetics. So acupuncture is a way to charge that cell's battery. It automatically increases the hertz. So when cells are regenerating, the higher the hertz, the better the chance it regenerates as a healthy cell. So acupuncture is something used to, yes, create balance, unblock meridians, but it's also a longevity tool. It will increase your cellular hertz. That would be...
Is that triggered by things like ATP and energy causes that to happen?
Yes, and so the ATP is triggered by chemical input, but it does need electrical input. So that's why sometimes when you work with people and you might be giving them a peptide, which is a chemical input, if their hertz and their cells are too low, they will not be able to regenerate and they will not receive the same benefit. The analogy would be you just picked up a new iPhone, okay, and you wanted to stream a movie on Netflix, but you have 1 bar of battery. You're not going to get much film time. Perfect brand new iPhone, nothing's wrong with the iPhone, battery's low. And all our cells do rely on electricity for a lot of their processes along with the chemical input. So I feel to be healthy, we need these avenues addressed.
To connect.
And they're currently on the market, not a lot of, maybe zero, maybe one supplement that increases electrical input to the cell. This is done through acupuncture, which increases electricity, PEMF type mats, grounding things can help. And this is why quality of water and getting in nature all support these electrical inputs to the body. So to be healthy, as you know, Jerry, requires a lot of input and information, and there's just not one way to be optimally healthy. And I think now, everyone is interested in longevity, and for me, longevity is not just a numeric number that am I going to live to 100, but am I going to live healthfully and with energy and good quality of life? And that's where acupuncture has been doing that for thousands of years. The whole idea is to get the cell as strong as possible, and so you're resilient to whatever may come your way. And
so with age, you still benefit from this. You can still gain that.
Absolutely. And Dr. Jerry Tennant, his book is called Healing is Voltage for anybody interested. He describes all of this, and he was able to reverse a very debilitating virus that he contracted while working with a patient. He was a surgeon. He was able to reverse some of that and create new cellular growth at a higher hertz. He measured that.
So what about cancer? So
Correct.
With cancer, we try to shut off some cells.
Correct.
Instead of waking them up. How do you navigate that in the world of acupuncture?
The beauty of acupuncture, since it's the body creating the balance, I'm just stimulating these meridians. The body is much smarter than me.
Pushing it.
I just nudge it, and the body has its own self-regulation to understand I need a little more juice here, but not here. Versus a medication or a surgery or any other input the body may receive, it is not the body doing that. So we can overshoot or undershoot a lot of times. The beauty of acupuncture is extremely safe. The body has its own self-regulation mechanism to know where the energy needs to go and where maybe it doesn't need to go.
I love this because I'm relating this to the concept of methylene blue. And everybody's using this, right? But you are some ways bypassing the body's own regulatory system and telling it to do this.
Yes.
So too much can be too much.
Absolutely.
So it's like nudging something.
It's nudging something. And I think for those people that are familiar with hormones and something we call receptor sites, and I love hormones, by the way. If you're a female out there or even a male and you need it, I think they're wonderful. However, we want to use them with precision and understanding when we've overshot something and when we're undershooting it. And so with any substance, that's the beauty of traditional Chinese medicine is it's about balance. So there are times if you came in and you were sick with a virus, I will flood you with some herbs that are antivirals that stimulate the immune system. If you are not, it is contraindicated in my practice to give it to you. It would be inappropriate. So
totally makes sense.
Everything is done with a very custom individual approach. You know, their concept is the body is like a garden, and certain plants need more water than others. And if I do the same thing in my garden to all the plants, some will thrive, but some won't. Right. And that's their philosophy and approach to the body.
Can you, now that we're talking about hormones, because I am right there with you with hormones, I feel like there's a whole women our age that haven't been allowed to have hormones or given them.
Correct.
But also we're overshooting. I've got people coming in here and they're injecting their testosterone.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, where are you getting this and who's prescribing it? And do you have a whole plethora of other things that you're doing to help support and nudge this instead of override it? You will blow your receptors out.
Correct. And I think that unfortunately, the education isn't quite there yet for patients. And, providers, depending on their training, it's a quick result. And that's great because the person will feel better pretty quickly. But in my training, I'm not a week out, a 2 week out, or even a year out person. When I meet them, I'm thinking about, as long as I'm well and alive, I'm going to know them for 20 years. How am I keeping them healthy in this longevity sense and what makes sense for them? So for patients, I encourage them to have a team of healthcare providers that do different things, that know different things, do your own research, ask these people that you trust that are actually experts in their field. It is getting a little bit Wild West out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of online labs and pharmacies where people can just type in whatever they want and get things mail ordered to them. I think there's some benefits to that, but there's some negative side effects to that. And I just would encourage anyone to please use a licensed provider that understands how to use this. And, you can always add more, but when you start off aggressive, it's much harder to unwind that.
And a provider that's okay with you having a team of other people.
Absolutely.
With opinions.
Yes. In medicine, there's a term multimodal, meaning there's usually more than one cause for an issue, a symptom or a chronic a health issue. So just if it's multimodal, you would need a variety of practitioners to be healthy, whatever that might mean. So I encourage people to try different providers and different types of medicine, and don't think one is your answer. You're going to need a lot of input to stay healthy.
Hi, everybody. This episode is sponsored by Pretty Girl Cosmeceuticals. These products are the best. If you're not using them, you need to use them. You can contact JKH Aesthetics anytime, and we will give you a consultation about how to use these amazing products. We have Glow Girl and Ice Drops. These will keep you young, healthy, and glowing every day of the week. And now, back to the episode. We're still talking about hormones, so can you, I encourage my patients to start early. With finding either a naturopath or a specialist in the field, OBGYN or something that specializes in more longevity and wellness, and get your measurements early, because you can start as early as 35 in menopause.
Absolutely.
So if you can watch your numbers and then go off how you feel, is acupuncture actually something that can help light those cells up and keep those hormones
yes.
working
So
longer?
acupuncture, used in countries where they've used it forever, so mostly Asia, women are using it all the time, and they start around the time the girl is anticipated to go through puberty. They bring her in maybe a year before they're anticipating her puberty to help her start to wake up the endocrine system and get her ready for this lifetime of different ups and downs of hormones.
Wow.
So
I love this.
I have a neat story that when I was in college, my roommate at the time happened to be from Brazil, and there was 3 girls in her family. She was the middle one. So her and her older sister went through puberty in Brazil, and then her family moved to California, and the younger sister was maybe 9 or something. So I always thought this was fascinating. Her older sister and her had great periods, no acne, just like a clock, really no issues. The younger sister had all kinds of problems. She had acne, she had painful periods, she would miss school, da-da-da-da-da. So she told me one day that in Brazil, her mom knew in their little area where they lived in Rio, took both her older sister and her when they were about 10, and they had acupuncture. And that was what you did to start your endocrine system to be healthy. The younger sister, they moved here. They didn't know anyone. She never did it. And I just kind of, now that I'm older, track them throughout their life. The elder two have had a much easier time hormonally than the younger sister. It could be anecdotal, but I thought it was fascinating. And as I've worked with women over the years, I see the ones that have been able to have access to acupuncture younger have easier times getting pregnant, staying pregnant, deliveries, and then I start very early getting them ready for the hormonal shifts that will come in perimenopause and menopause. I have some women going through menopause. Acupuncture is so restorative to the cell, their periods came back. So yes, can it help? Yes, it absolutely does. Yeah.
I love that. Now, what about sexual wellness for men. You know, we've got an epidemic out there with that as well. And a lot of that is blood circulation and blood flow, even in that area where men are riding cycling again.
That's right. They're riding cycling again. And there's, I think, data showing that unfortunately for cyclists, they do have a higher testicular cancer rate. We are sitting more than ever, whether it's even if we work from home, but some poor people have long commutes, sit when they get to work and then back home again, and then they get on a Peloton. So it's kind of, you know, poor blood flow to the area. And then we put stress on top of that, which we know tanks hormones for men. So I have quite a few men come to me for that, for whether it's erectile dysfunction or they want to increase sperm count. They're getting ready to conceive. And don't worry, guys.
Well,
I'm not putting the needles locally.
That's where I was just going to go there. Do they go on the balls?
No.
Don't be afraid, guys.
No. Acupuncture doesn't work that way. Sometimes, you know, if your foot's hurting, I put it at your head or vice versa.
There's no meridian down there, right?
So, yeah.
You have to dip into.
Yeah, correct.
I know where they were going right now.
Yeah, I know what they're thinking.
But you're waking up and forcing that electrical current.
Right, which increases blood flow, decreases inflammation, and preserves healthy cellular regeneration. So if we're talking, you know, if they're thinking about conceiving, we want the best quality sperm, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
And this helps that.
Yes, it does. Yes,
it makes sense it would.
Yeah.
And getting pregnant as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Even sometimes without having to go through
so
IVF and
you know,
all the other stuff.
I think using acupuncture is something that if I didn't do this for my job, but if I knew about it, I would have my kids doing it and introduce them to it so they could have this tool for their lifespan. And I'm just very blessed. Earlier this morning when I was in clinic, you know, I had a 1.5-year-old. So it's this shift in our society and knowledge how to give these tools to stay healthy, because you're going to have challenges.
You are going to have challenges.
Part of being a human on this planet.
I'm just thinking like kidney disease and
all kinds of stuff.
Other stuff where our nephrons typically die.
Yes, that's right. And they're not going to regenerate at a high level.
And
the ones that survived. And this could help. This could help.
Especially, what about like bladder infections?
Absolutely. Yes. So those are, if they are seen quick enough, they can many times be remedied without an antibiotic. Obviously, if we're past that, I send them out right away. We don't want to play around with that. But yeah, there's all kinds of internal medicine things that in Taiwan and China, Japan, the hospitals are integrated. So the patients are using both at the same time to reduce pharmaceutical usage if appropriate, you know, and many times acupuncture and a few formulas buys them their health.
That goes to my question of skin and acne. Underlying acne that I see is definitely environmental, our epiogenics that we're seeing now, outside source of foods.
Correct.
Things like that. Do you treat that as well? Acne as well?
I do. I usually with acne, there's a couple of things that usually are underlying for them, for the patients I see. Dermatology is not my specialty, but it's usually coming from a gut imbalance. Once in a while for females, I will see it's coming from the liver. And you do things to open and clear and detoxify the liver, their skin can improve.
That's with herbs too. I use a
lot of herbs for that, and a lot of different vitamins. Even, you know, a methylated B vitamin for certain people goes a long way to help flush their liver. But all those things you definitely want to check with someone knowledgeable, and I will pair that with stool testing and blood work and other things, maybe a thermography to check, are there other inputs? Do they have heavy metals or mold or things that could be clogging up the system?
Okay, we're going to stop right there at thermography. I want you to talk about this because I'm a big fan of it. I want you to explain it because a lot of people haven't heard about it, and it is an alternative to some women that don't want to have a mammogram.
Correct.
Am I correct?
That is correct.
That's for the ones that don't want to.
Or I just had I did a thermography on a patient before coming here, and what she chooses to do, and I think this should be done individually with a healthcare provider or a team of them to decide, is she does thermography with ultrasound. She has very dense breasts, so the mammogram doesn't always find things, and she's always referred out to ultrasound. So what she does is, I did her thermography, I email it to her. She takes it to her ultrasound tech, so they have the areas where they need to focus. Now, some women will do all three. They get a mammogram, an ultrasound, and thermography. Some patients only want to do thermography. I would say it's based on your results and how healthy the breast tissue is looking. The thermography I choose to use is also going to look at organs, because many times breast tissue, being a fatty tissue, is getting toxins from other parts of the body. So it looks really messy, but the test I run, the alpha thermography, can show this is coming from the liver, this is coming from my lymph nodes up here, or a tooth that's gone bad draining through the lymphatic system into the breast. So if they went and did a mammogram, your breasts look very healthy, but why does it look bad on the thermography? The toxins are coming from elsewhere in the body, and they happen to settle into the breast tissue. And for men, there is a devoted page to the prostate. So a lot of men, their prostate looks bad. They are usually being exposed to chemicals.
Okay, everybody, you know I love sauna, and one of my favorite at-home saunas is Sauna Space. Check it out. It's in my bio. You've got to get one of these, even if it's just a little tiny red light you can set by your computer. This is amazing. You will regenerate. It helps with mitochondria health. When you type in Beauty Outlaw in the coupon code, you get 10% off as well. I want you to have vitality and longevity, so check out Sauna Space. It's my favorite red light ever. Wow. Now, thermography, is it wavelength based?
Yeah,
How do you read this, or heat, or what is it? It's
heat. So it's based on temperature. It's FDA approved, but because it's a thermal scan, there's no risk for like radiation. Technically, a pregnant woman could do it. So it's a very, very safe test. And I have patients do it once a year as part of their blood work. Like, it's part of their physical. So like everyone in my family, we have a thermography once a year, unless the thermography shows issues that need to be worked on, and then I follow up to make sure they've been cleared.
Is this a report that you have to do almost like a radiologist? Are you reading it yourself, or do you have software that helps you? It has
software. I am trained to read it myself, but it does go to a software, a big server that compiles all this raw data and spits it out into medical terms for someone like me to read. But
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. If somebody does this, is it a per system scan, or is this a whole body?
It's a whole body scan. So it's all done in that one reading. We're able to look at the teeth, the brain, all your internal organs. For women, the breast tissue, and for men, prostate.
In a range for our audience, and it can be a range starting, because where we live is in a different area.
Yes.
What does something like that cost someone?
I think thermographies are around $200 to $400 for the test. And then for the physician or the practitioner to review it with you would also
be a fee.
Yeah, but the test itself is maybe $200 to $400. Yeah.
I mean, that's what some people's copays are. So by the time or their co-insurance.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get one, so I'm going to come up and see you and get one. Okay, now some fun stuff. Okay. What about there's something called, and I've got it written down, because I actually have never heard of it. And they try to compare it to acupuncture, and I think it is not. It's to help with, it's something needling.
Oh, the dry needling.
Dry needling.
Dry needling. That is something that a lot of physical therapists use.
Okay.
And it really boils down to licensure. They're not supposed to use needles, so I'm not quite sure how they use this. It's a lot more painful, and it's not based on the meridian, the electrical line. It's more based like locally, like
inflammation.
I'm a football player. Yeah, inflammation. And I tore my Achilles, and they get in there and kind of scrape with needles, is my understanding. But it's something that many people benefit from, but it's for a very, very specific like injury type.
I know they were using it in aesthetics for
probably to create
like
that.
Yes,
injury. Right.
It's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's creating an injury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the acupuncture facelift? Does it work?
It's a great question. I think it's a great adjunct to other things. And can it buy women time if they start early enough? I have some younger females, they already ask, can I start, can you do some stuff for my face? Sure, it's not going to hurt you. And since we now know about the hertz and the cellular regeneration, it's perfect. But, that is so personal. I think some women, whatever they find beautiful for themselves, they need to figure that out, and they can use it with any other type of treatment they want to include for themselves. Yeah, definitely wouldn't hurt.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, I know you have, and I don't know the name of it, you have a testing device that you use.
Yes.
What is this all about that everybody talks about?
Yes.
And it's almost like it's voodoo medicine or something.
Yeah. So,
but I'm going to let you explain it.
Sure. So this is something I did not learn in acupuncture school. I actually learned from a naturopath that studied this technique in France, and it's involving something called electroantenna. It's measuring frequencies. It's based off your electromagnetic field. We use the heart, since that has the highest electrical output, as a area of measurement. And it's a little window into the body of things that might be happening.
Well, you're talking about like electrical, where if something's going to give you too much of maybe a charge or not enough.
Not enough. So I use it to customize my acupuncture treatments. We don't learn this in school. It is based off of Chinese theory, but it's nothing we learn in school here in the United States. This is a French technique. But I customize the treatment by using this antenna, and I'm going through and measuring the electrical output on the points. Okay. When I see that the point is low, that's where I like to go, because that's what's going to restore the balance and give them relief quickly, whether it's emotional relief, pain relief, blood circulation, immune response, whatever it is we're trying to achieve in that treatment.
And what may not be right for the body, right?
Correct. So many times what I was taught, textbook-wise, and I think, okay, I want to do this, their body teaches me otherwise. And why I learned this technique is because of my daughter, since she cannot tell me, I feel off today, I'm getting a sore throat, I have pain. I don't have a way to talk with her in English, but I can use this device to gauge, is this appropriate to give her Motrin right now? Is she getting sick? She does need some viral remedies. Okay, she's getting sick. She's the one who guided me to find this tool. I brought it to work because I thought, let's do this. And, when I first brought it to work, yes, I've got all kinds of nicknames going. But now there's a lot of people out there who do muscle testing or different ways of they're tapping into this electromagnetic field. It's providing a custom approach to the body. Is it 100%? No. It's all about the operator, just like your blood work sometimes has messiness, sometimes your surgery. I use this as an adjunct with all these other data collections to figure out what's your best.
You're looking for a trend.
I'm looking for a trend. And I want to make
daughter.
I did. And I want to make sure it's safe for you, because what works for Jerry may not work for Douglas over here. And that's what I'm big about, is the customizing.
Yeah. I think that is pretty cool, actually, because that makes a lot of sense, actually. It's just another layer.
It is, and it just gives me some information, and it helps because sometimes I can recommend a patient, when you see your physician, your MD, maybe add this to your blood work. And many times, voila, there it is. Why don't we see if you have EBV? Why don't we see if you have mold? Or it might help dictate, do I really need to do this urine test that costs $500? No, you're testing great. I don't think that's the problem.
What do you think the pushback is with Epstein-Barr virus in mainstream medicine?
There's no drug for it. So until there's a medication, there's not a lot of time given. It's not gonna be emphasized in a conference, and they don't have a way to help the person. So it's frustrating for them.
Yeah,
as
they don't even want to test
a prescribing practitioner. It's a frustrating issue. They may recognize it, but what are they going to do about it? So that's for someone else to deal with, When they have a tool in their defense, they're happy to test and help you. But that one, currently, there's not a pharmaceutical. So For them to spend time to talk to you about diet and lifestyle, they don't have
the
time,
time.
most of them. There are some that might run their practice differently, but an insurance-based practitioner, they're running hard. They don't have time for that, you know.
So
in their
if somebody's
defense.
diagnosed with this
Right.
or is able to get the blood work confirmed,
Sure. Yes.
what are some of the suggestions you have for them? I would recommend them come see you. But what are some of the other things? Because they need to support their overall health, right?
Yeah,
Their
they
immune
do.
system.
So one of the, anytime the body is struggling with a virus, if they could reduce or eliminate sugar, that's huge. They don't need to go to the doctor to figure that out. It costs them zero money, but it puts such a burden on the immune system, and it's so inflammatory. So that's step one. I always have that conversation with them. I know that's one of the hardest ones for them to shift. There's some beautiful Chinese herbs we use for what we call these enteroviruses that stay in the body and don't really leave the body. They are hidden away in a closet, and for whatever reason, they emerge. They can emerge for many different reasons. Some of them are up for debate. Some of them are documented. But we know for females, definitely hormonal fluctuations. For males and females, stress, rundown, lack of sleep. These types of things are going to cause Epstein-Barr or any enterovirus. There's a slew of them, herpes, Coxsackie, to emerge and give a flare. So they become
is
symptomatic.
hand, foot, and mouth.
Yes, that's one of them. There's just
One
like
of them,
herpes.
yeah.
There's
a million
There's
different
so
things.
many different strains. So these will cause it to emerge and give a flare where they become symptomatic. And they'll know it because no one else around them is getting sick. Or they might have it for a day or two. They're like, well, I thought I was getting sick, but I didn't get sick. It's your old little friend, your old bug.
Yes.
And so, quality diet, eliminating sugar, using different herbs, sometimes when appropriate, using certain vitamins. We know vitamin C and vitamin A, they're great antivirals, probably taking vitamin D regularly. These are simple things they can do for themselves. And then when they're in a flare, they usually come and get acupuncture right away because that gets your hertz up and that tells the immune system, hey, we're not doing this anymore. But they need to be educated on what's happening inside of them so they can take better care of themselves.
You treat a lot. You see a lot of patients.
Yeah, I do.
With this.
I do. I really love infectious disease and enteroviruses because it's just going up around us, and I think our lifestyle it's just making it be more prevalent. I just see younger and younger patients struggling with things that I didn't see when I was a student, let alone when I was first in practice. So quality of food, not enough sunlight, a lot of screen time, not moving around, and then the emotional disturbances that I didn't face that I think our younger populations face due to technology, social media, things that they are not even understanding is making them depressed. It's a lot of pressure for them.
A lot of pressure.
And so they are having these, what I would call not ideal inputs and not enough to keep them up and running in a healthy way.
And that's where the acupuncture can really help charge them.
That's the great thing. And when
Charging
they
your
come,
battery.
they don't have to know. They don't have to say, I got yelled at school or my girlfriend broke up with me and I see her on Instagram. They don't need to tell me. It's going to be clear what to do and their body handles it.
Have you had somebody break down and cry?
All
Emotions?
the time. Yeah.
And feel better when they leave?
And always feel better. And I think that's the really great thing about since when I was in school and coming out of practice until now is that this emotional discussion is not taboo any longer.
Right.
And we can go ahead and integrate that and understand that we all know when we feel sad or something happens to us, you can feel in your physical body what starts to happen to you, tension, headache, stomach ache. So to ignore that emotional part for someone is really a big disservice to them.
I know with PTSD, and I'll just call them medical mushrooms, some of the clinics that do this have had great success and they incorporate acupuncture with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And after it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially.
Yeah. And it'll help the nervous system integrate this new information because acupuncture is working on your nervous system, which is very electrical. That's why you will get, oh no, my heart is racing when you get nervous. It's working on the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So anytime you're trying to make a shift, if you can follow it with acupuncture, it would be huge. Yeah, it'd be so helpful to the body.
Wow. We've gotten a lot of information today.
Great. That was the goal.
That was the goal, and you did a really great job. And we definitely will have to have you back.
I'd love to. I'm very passionate about this. If I could
after I
help
go get
one
my
person from this
thermography.
talk, you know, that's the idea. If someone learned something today, I'm thrilled. Yeah.
You're great. I love you, honey.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Now, at the end of the Beauty Outlaw,
Yes.
we always do a toast.
Oh, bring it on.
So one thing I know about you is if she drinks alcohol, it's definitely from it's European alcohol.
Yeah, I'm one of those snobs.
That's okay. You changed
I'm a
me.
wine snob, coffee snob, chocolate snob, food snob. It's dangerous. My poor husband. Yeah, well, I'll never retire.
So we're having a toast to French champagne.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Only. So thank you, Charlotte. She won't get in the camera view over here. I noticed. Here we go.
Thank you.
So, all right. Thank you so much for being here.
My honor and pleasure.
So, chin chin.
Cheers.
Until the next time.
Yes, that's right.
And thank you for joining us on the Beauty Outlaw. And I hope you learned a lot. And all the information about this wonderful gem over here is going to be in the show notes. So check it out. See you next time.